India's Pakistan Conundrum, Managing a Complex Relationship, is written by Sharat Sabharwal. Historically, the relationship between India and Pakistan has been mired in conflicts, war, and lack of trust. Pakistan has continued to loom large on India's horizon despite the growing gap between the two countries. This book is divided into two parts. Part 1, The Pakistani State, examines the nature of the Pakistani state, its internal dynamics, and how all this impacts India. And Part 2, India-Pakistan relations and India's policy options, covers the key issues of the bilateral relationship, appraises a range of policy options, and offers a way forward. Sharat Sabharwal joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1975 and over a long diplomatic career spanning 38 years, held various senior positions in India's foreign policy setup. He was Deputy High Commissioner of India to Pakistan 1995 to 1999, Deputy Permanent Representative of India to the UN in Geneva 1999 to 2002, Ambassador to Uzbekistan 2002 to 2005, and High Commissioner to Pakistan 2009 to 2013. After his retirement from the Foreign Service, he served as Central Information Commissioner from 2013 to 2017. As author wrote about Pakistan, it thrust four armed conflicts on India in 1947, 1965, 1971 and 1999, and having failed to attain its objectives militarily, has sought to do so through terrorism as an instrument of state policy. Memories of Pakistani-sponsored terror in Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and elsewhere in India, and named of Pakistani-based murderous groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba (LET), alias Jamaat-ud-Dawa, alias Falah-e-Insaniyat Foundation, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen are etched deep on the psyche of the Indian public. It took 9 years to adopt its first constitution, only to lapse soon thereafter into military rule, which has characterized it for nearly half of its existence, with the army retaining an indirect stranglehold over critical decision-making even during periods of civilian rule. It remains tormented by widespread extremism and terrorism and risks degenerating into greater chaos and lawlessness. Its future has been a source of concern not only for India but the entire international community. All the policy options deployed by India over the years, peace overtures, reaching out to the Pakistani people, deterrence, coercion, use of military force, incentives by way of lucrative trade and economic linkages, and attempts to isolate Pakistan internationally have failed to convince or compel Pakistan to alter its course and build a normal relationship with India. Former US Secretary of State Madeleine Albright summed up the nature of the Pakistani state pithily in December 2008, soon after the Mumbai terror attack, in describing it as a country that had everything to cause an international migraine. She added, "It has nuclear weapons, it has terrorism, extremists, corruption, very poor, and it's in a location that's really important to us." The above is a telling commentary on Pakistan's international standing. As author argues, religious parties and groups have prospered in Pakistan because they have been patronized and used from time to time both by military dictators and civilian leaders for their selfish ends. The religious sentiment has often been pandered to in order to make up for the shortfall in governance. Spread of religious hatred through school textbooks has been a long-standing problem in Pakistan and has continued to exist in spite of assurances by successive governments to carry out curriculum reform and put an end to religious extremism. Pakistan has seen violence in the name of religion on its university campuses. Religious extremism is now so well entrenched in the Pakistani society, particularly because of the patronage of the state and the army over the years, that it would be impossible to put the genie back in the bottle. Author wrote about economy in a speech in Islamabad in October 2016. Christine Lagarde, managing director of the IMF, pointed out that Pakistan's debt was 65% of GDP and bill for payment of interest on it was higher than Pakistan's entire development budget. Pakistan's heavy debt burden results in large-scale debt servicing, which together with the defense expenditure leaves little resources for the remaining government activities, including development. Pakistan has all along resorted to external aid, borrowing and the IMF bailouts to bridge its resource gap and maintain stability in the external sector. It has historically been among the top recipients of the US aid. China has also of late chipped in by way of loans to shore up Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves. Writer wrote about democracy in Pakistan. For various reasons, genuine democracy never took roots in Pakistan. Pakistan has undergone 3 spells of direct rule by the army, spanning 33 years under military dictators. The first spell of direct military rule was introduced by Ayub Khan on the grounds of chaotic governance, widespread corruption, and financial mismanagement. Broadly, the same grounds were cited by military dictators subsequently to justify the army rule and its interference in national affairs. Even when the army has not been in charge directly, it has controlled governance, particularly foreign and security policies, from behind the scenes. The army has, all along, kept a very tight control on the national narrative. The task was much easier when most of the information was disseminated by the state radio and later on TV channels. The notorious ISI serves as the hatchet man of the army in Pakistan. Interestingly, the military's two business groups, the Fauji Foundation (FF) and the Army Welfare Trust (AWT), are the largest business conglomerates in the country. The most noticeable component of Milbus, according to Aisha Siddiqui, concerns the business ventures of the FF AWT, Shaheen Foundation SF, and Bahriya Foundation BF. The first two are connected to the army, the third to the air force, and the last to the navy. These foundations, employing both military and civilian personnel, have diverse businesses ranging from small-scale ventures such as bakeries, farms, schools, and private security firms to corporate enterprises such as commercial banks, insurance companies, radio and television channels, fertilizer, cement, and several manufacturing plants. As author explained, Pakistan has remained in turmoil for most of its history, inter alia because of gross mismanagement by its successive governments. It has often been described as a failed or a failing state. It lost its eastern wing in 1971, torn apart by sectarian and ethnic divide and wrecked by widespread violence. The truncated Pakistani state has at times appeared on the verge of disintegration. In the face of raging terror during the first decade of this century, many in Pakistan believed that it was under an existential threat. However, aside from a reasonably stable administrative structure, the one force that the country depends upon to hold it together is the army. Clearly, Pakistan's action against terror has been focused essentially on the terror groups attacking the Pakistani state and not the groups perpetrating terror outside Pakistan or indulging in sectarian violence. In conclusion, it can be said that Pakistan is neither a failed state nor one about to fail in the foreseeable future. Differences over Jammu and Kashmir emerged quickly between India and Pakistan after the partition. In the ensuing years, this issue became the primary anchor of Pakistan's hostility towards India. Pakistan's case on Kashmir, dubious from the start, no longer attracts much international attention or sympathy in the changed global environment. Even within Pakistan, it does not resonate with the people as it used to in the past. The Lahore Declaration, signed by the Prime Ministers, reiterated inter alia the determination of both sides to implement the Shimla Agreement in letter and spirit. It mentioned recognition by both countries that an environment of peace and security was in their supreme national interest and resolution of all outstanding issues, including Jammu and Kashmir, was essential for this purpose. Kargil was followed by a hiatus in dialogue and an intense phase of terror, including such high-profile incidents as hijacking of an Indian Airlines aircraft in December 1999, which resulted in release by India of Masood Azhar, who founded Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Omar Saeed Sheikh, who was later involved in the murder of the Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl, and attack on the Indian Parliament in December 2001, leading to Operation Parakram and amassing of troops by India on the border. In between, the failed Agra summit took place in July 2001. Things started looking up when the two sides agreed to a ceasefire on the Line of Control (LOC), an international border in the J&K sector in November 2003. Once again, international pressure and back-channel contacts seem to have been responsible for the thaw. Prime Minister Vajpayee visited Islamabad to attend the SAARC summit in January 2004, and in a joint press statement, President Pervez Musharraf reassured the Indian Prime Minister that he would not permit any territory under Pakistan's control to be used to support terrorism in any manner. The two leaders also decided to resume the composite dialogue in February and expressed the confidence that the resumption of the composite dialogue will lead to peaceful settlement of all bilateral issues, including Jammu and Kashmir, to the satisfaction of both sides. The composite dialogue continued till it was paused by India following the Mumbai terror attack in November 2008. The dialogue was resumed in February 2011 and two more rounds took place in 2011 and 2012. Speaking in the Lok Sabha on June 9, 2009 on the President's address, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh expressed the expectation that the government of Pakistan would take strong, effective and sustained action to prevent the use of their territory for the commission of acts of terrorism in India or against Indian interests and use every means at their disposal to bring to justice those who had committed these crimes in the past, including the attack in Mumbai. Adding that if the leaders of Pakistan had the courage, the determination and the statesmanship to take the road to peace, India would meet them more than half the way. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a short halt in Lahore on his way back from Kabul in December 2015 on Nawaz Sharif's birthday. Days earlier, the two countries had agreed to resume dialogue during External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj's visit to Islamabad. Since Prime Ministers do not drop by at birthday parties merely to have a good time, it can be presumed that Prime Minister Modi saw a potential breakthrough in the bilateral relationship. Within days of Prime Minister Modi's Lahore halt, Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed mounted a terror attack on the Air Force base at Pathankot. Pakistan's response to India's demand to bring the culprits to book was evasive as usual. Further terror attacks followed, and the relationship nosedived after the Uri terror attack in September 2016. The special status conferred on Jammu and Kashmir by virtue of Article 370 and 35A of the Indian Constitution was abrogated on August 5, 2019, and the state was divided into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. In a subsequent meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar stated that the changes were India's internal matter and there was no implication for either the external boundaries of India or the line of actual control (LAC) with China. In spite of Pakistan's brazen campaign of terror against India because of its Cold War linkages and the Cold War hangover through the decade of the 1990s, India's appeals to the Western countries to pressurize Pakistan into giving up the instrumentality of terror did not cut much ice. In fact, through the decades of the 1980s and the 1990s, the Western countries continued to provide space on their territory to Pakistan-sponsored Khalistani and Kashmiri activists to carry out anti-India activities. The language of the Western countries on terrorism changed substantially after 9/11, and India's concerns came to be better appreciated by them, as some of the terror groups raised and nurtured by Pakistan over the years turned against it. The Pakistan army started making a distinction between good terrorists and bad terrorists. The terror groups operating as its extension, such as the LET, fell in the first category, and those attacking the Pakistani State in the latter category. In spite of the overwhelming evidence of the Mumbai terror attack having been perpetrated from Pakistan by LET, Pakistan's initial response was on familiar lines, evasive and asking India for evidence. It took the Pakistan government 6 weeks to admit that the lone surviving gunman Ajmal Kasab was a Pakistani, and that too not without some drama involving removal from his post of the National Security Advisor of General Mahmoud Ali Durrani, who had made the admission. Terror groups proscribed by the UN Security Council have continued to function with impunity in Pakistan and raise funds within the country and abroad. India has never committed an aggression against Pakistan, but responded resolutely to each Pakistani aggression, giving it a major blow in 1971 in the Bangladesh War. That was India's last large-scale military operation against Pakistan. Limited operations were conducted to secure the Siachen Glacier and dislodge the intruding Pakistani troops from the Kargil Heights in the 1980s and 1999 respectively. In February 2019, following the Pulwama terror attack, India crossed a new threshold in using air power to attack a terror target in Pakistan, though this action was confined to a single airstrike. Use of air power to hit a terror target in Balakot in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province represented a significant shift in India's approach. However, it did not put an end to the Pakistani terror against India. Despite its break from the policy of strategic restraint, it was a tactical move with the potential to influence Pakistan's conduct temporarily, but not to induce an enduring change. Pakistan's retaliation to the Balakot strike gave rise to the possibility of an escalation with an uncertain trajectory and outcome. In a repeat of the classic India-Pakistan scenario, other major countries intervened and the situation moved towards de-escalation. Enjoy the book. If you enjoyed the video, then please like and share this video. Do subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.